Hello, my name is Sammy Rahman. I am the founder of WheelchairBearings.com. I was trying to service my son's wheelchair one day and was really having a hard time removing the bearings. So I started looking around and found that there were really no bearing tools. And so I asked around to my friends who are in wheelchairs, and they said, well, we use brute force. Brute, a screwdriver, and force. Well, I tried it and I ended up ruining a pair of Spinergy wheels. And the problem is that a lot of it has to do with brute here. Brute uses flat, it's steel, and when you put it on a bearing and you try to knock it out, you are going to knock that bearing out and deform the hub of the wheel. And so you did ruin some really nice wheels doing that. So I looked around and couldn't really find anything within the wheelchair industry, and I looked at the bicycle industry and all that's metric, and I looked at the automotive industry, and they're all use bigger bearings than what's in a bicycle. Than what's in a wheelchair. So I decided to develop my own set of tools. So the first thing we do is we use force. That's still a part of the whole process. But instead of using brute, we use, I developed a brass pin punch. And the reason why I use brass instead of steel is brass will deform before the bearing deforms. So it protects your bearings. And instead of using, knocking my bearing out sideways, I looked at the bicycle industry and found these blind bearing pullers and then made them in non-metric forms. So that's 8 millimeter for a frog leg. That is 3/8 for a tie-light front wheel, and then that's 1/2 inch for a rear wheel and a lot of forks. And then so once you remove it, you use these to remove them, and then once you remove them, you got to get them back into the bearings. So I developed into the hubs. I developed a set of punch bump blocks for front casters, and then for a rear wheel, I developed a press so that it runs the bearings in parallel to the hub. So this is a wheelchair hub, and you put each bearing in there, and you slowly squeeze, and they properly perpendicular put that bearing into that hub.